The orbital station of the Galactic Defense Academy floated silently above the azure-blue planet of Eridani Prime. It was a place where the galaxy's brightest and fiercest cadets came to train. The station was enormous, with hundreds of docking bays, training arenas, and classrooms orbiting like pieces of a giant mechanical ring. Aliens of all shapes, sizes, and species bustled through its corridors, showing off their strength, intelligence, or sheer presence. Yet in all this pride and display, one newcomer seemed almost invisible, a human girl with dark hair, sharp eyes, and a quiet but determined expression. Her name was Lyra Kane. Lyra had grown up on Earth, a world that many galactic species considered weak, primitive, and almost harmless. But Lyra's people had a reputation for something else: adaptability. Humans could learn fast, improvise in impossible situations, and survive where others would fail. Still, the cadets on the station didn't know that. The moment Lyra stepped off the shuttle, alien cadets looked at her with thinly veiled contempt. "She's tiny," whispered a tall, four-armed alien with metallic scales. "How can a human compete with us?" "Fragile," hissed another, a sleek amphibious creature with glistening skin. The weakest species in this sector. Lyra ignored them. She had been trained for this moment. Years of preparation, simulations, and intense drills had brought her here. She didn't need approval, she only needed to prove herself. The cadet hall was enormous. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing tactical simulations, battle reports, and ranking charts. Aliens walked in clusters, comparing stats and bragging about victories in prior simulations. Humans were rare, and the presence of one here was already a curiosity. Lyra moved calmly, scanning the environment, noting exits, training schedules, and the behavior of her peers. Her first challenge was orientation. Every cadet was introduced to the Academy's rules, the ships, weapons, and most importantly, the combat simulations. Lyra listened carefully, absorbing every detail. Her memory was sharp, her mind analytical. Every instruction, every diagram, every procedural note was filed away in her mind. When the first combat drill was announced, alien cadets snickered. It was a live drone exercise. Each cadet would face a squad of autonomous combat drones, designed to test reflexes, strategy, and adaptability. The drones were advanced, capable of predicting patterns and responding to attacks within milliseconds. "This will be easy," boasted a huge reptilian cadet, his claws glinting. "Watch a real warrior crush these machines." Lyra simply nodded, saying nothing. She didn't need words, she only needed results. The simulation chamber was enormous, with multi-level terrain, obstacles, and traps. The drones hovered silently, scanning for threats. The cadets took their positions. Lyra, small compared to her alien peers, found a high vantage point behind a pile of metallic crates. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The drones advanced with a sudden whirring of engines. Alien cadets lunged forward, firing plasma rifles, activating energy shields, and shouting commands. Chaos erupted. Lyra observed. She noticed patterns the others ignored. The drone's sensors had a slight delay when multiple targets moved together. Their lasers were precise but predictable if approached strategically. Without hesitation, Lyra moved. She ducked behind cover, calculated angles, and released a series of well-timed energy pulses. One by one, the drones fell. Other cadets struggled, panicking when a drone adapted to their attacks. Some even collided with each other in their rush to survive. Lyra's movements were smooth, almost silent, like water flowing over rocks. In minutes, she had disabled her squad of drones entirely. Not one shot wasted, not one move uncalculated. When the simulation ended, silence filled the chamber. Alien cadets stared in shock. How did she do that?" whispered a small, winged cadet. She is human," another said, voice trembling. "That's impossible." Lyra wiped a thin layer of sweat from her forehead, her face calm. She didn't boast. She didn't smile. She only glanced at the instructors, who nodded in quiet approval. By the end of the day, the gossip had spread. Humans, they said, were weak, but maybe there was something different about her, something dangerous. Over the next few days, Lyra faced more drills. Some were physical, testing strength, speed, and endurance. Others were tactical simulations, testing strategy and teamwork. Each time the aliens underestimated her. Each time she proved them wrong. Yet it wasn't brute strength that won their attention. It was her mind, her calm under pressure, her ability to think faster than anyone around her. While alien cadets relied on advanced technology and raw power, Lyra relied on observation, planning, and improvisation. One evening, after a particularly challenging tactical exercise, Lyra sat quietly in her quarters, reviewing logs of her performance. The room was small, utilitarian, and quiet. No holograms, no distractions. She plotted strategies, noted weaknesses in her peers, and planned for the next day. A knock on the door startled her. A small alien cadet entered, soft-spoken, nervous. I wanted to say good work today," he said. "You're amazing," Lyra nodded. "Thank you, keep learning." Observation is more important than pride. He smiled, retreating. Many others were starting to notice that humans, or at least Lyra, were not just fragile creatures. There was something in her, a spark, a quiet force, that couldn't be measured by size or strength. The Academy's instructors began taking notes. Whispers spread through the corridors. "The human, she's different. Not weak, dangerous. Death in silence, they should call her." Lyra ignored the gossip. She had bigger challenges ahead. The first real test was coming, the nighttime survival exercise. Cadets would be sent to a hostile planet to complete simulated assassination missions, infiltrations, and tactical extractions. Many had failed this exercise before, some had never returned intact. Lyra's mind was already preparing. She imagined scenarios, mapped terrain, predicted AI behaviors, and noted potential strategies. Unlike other cadets, she didn't rush. She planned, calculated, and waited for the perfect moment. By the time the simulation began, alien cadets would underestimate her. That underestimation, she knew, was her greatest weapon. And for Lyra Kane, the quiet human, this was only the beginning. The galaxy might have called humans weak, fragile, and unfit. But she was about to prove them wrong, one silent, deadly step at a time. By the time the first target fell under her precision and careful planning, the whisper had already begun among the cadets. "She moves like a shadow, quiet, lethal, death whisper." And so, the legend of Lyra Kane, the human cadet who would soon shock the galaxy, began. The planet Varian 9 hung in the blackness of space like a dark jewel. Its surface was jagged and rocky, with towering cliffs, deep canyons, and dense forests that hid dangers at every turn. The Galactic Defense Academy used Varian 9 for one of its most difficult exercises, the Nightfall Survival Test. Only the best cadets could survive its challenges, and most alien cadets struggled. Many believed humans would fail within hours. Lyra Kane did not doubt herself. She stood at the edge of the shuttle bay, her small frame contrasted against the hulking alien cadets behind her. Her eyes scanned the planet's surface through the shuttle's viewport. "This is your mission," said Commander Virak, a tall alien with glowing eyes. "You will infiltrate the enemy compound, eliminate the designated targets, and extract without detection. The exercise will last until sunrise. AI targets are adaptive. Cadets who fail will face severe consequences in evaluation." Lyra listened silently, committing every detail to memory. She studied the landscape, noticing natural cover points, shadowed areas, and the pathways most cadets would likely take. While the aliens around her flexed and bragged, she simply prepared. The shuttle descended, and the atmosphere of Varian 9 pressed in with cold, damp air. The cadets stepped onto the rocky surface. Alien cadets immediately activated their enhanced vision systems, scanning for threats. Many ran forward aggressively, weapons drawn, confident that brute force would carry them to victory. Lyra crouched behind a jagged rock. Her small size and quiet movements made her almost invisible. She had learned that night was her ally. Shadows could hide her, and silence could strike fear. Her first obstacle was a patrol of AI drones, programmed to detect movement and energy signatures. Alien cadets charged headfirst, triggering alarms almost immediately. Lyra studied their patterns, timing her approach carefully. When the drones were focused elsewhere, she slipped past them, avoiding detection entirely. Her movements were like a whisper in the wind, precise and controlled. Hours passed. Lyra moved silently across rocky plains, climbed cliffs, and navigated dense forests. The alien cadets were noisy and predictable, often leaving themselves exposed to detection. Lyra's strategy was simple but effective. Observe, wait, strike, and vanish. Finally, she reached the first target, a high-ranking AI holographic commander stationed near a cluster of rocks. The AI was highly adaptive, responding to movement patterns with deadly precision. Other cadets might have rushed in with weapons blazing, but Lyra paused. She studied its movement, noting the fraction of a second it took to react to threats. Using a small device from her belt, she created a light distraction behind the AI. As it turned, Lyra moved in complete silence and used a micro-energy blade to neutralize it. The strike was fast, precise, and final. The AI collapsed without a sound. She straightened, breath steady. Her first kill in a real mission was complete. Meanwhile, alien cadets were still struggling. Some had triggered multiple alarms. Drones swarmed them and confusion spread. Panic replaced confidence. For the first time, whispers of human capability reached even the instructors observing from above. Lyra moved on. Her next target was heavily guarded. The AI drones were alert, scanning constantly. Alien cadets tried to force their way through, only to be repelled. Lyra approached differently. She observed patrol patterns, noted gaps, and exploited them. When she struck, it was silent and perfect. Another AI eliminated. Another victory without anyone noticing her presence. Her reputation as Death Whisper grew among the cadets. By midnight, she had completed 3 targets. Most cadets had failed at least one. Many had been detected, some multiple times. Lyra's methodical approach allowed her to conserve energy, avoid unnecessary risks, and strike when the moment was perfect. During a brief rest in a shadowed canyon, Lyra reflected on the human advantage. Humans did not rely solely on strength. They relied on intuition, observation, and adaptability. While aliens often depended on technology or brute force, humans could improvise when plans failed. She had seen this in every challenge she had faced. Her calm was a weapon, her silence a shield. Every movement calculated, every decision precise. The final target was deep within a cliffside compound, heavily guarded and patrolled constantly. Alien cadets who approached directly were quickly detected, triggering defensive measures. Lyra studied the terrain. She noticed a narrow path along a cliff wall, almost invisible from the compound's sensors. Creeping along the edge, she avoided detection entirely. The guards' patterns were predictable once observed carefully. One by one, Lyra neutralized them with silent strikes. No alarms, no chaos, just precision. Finally, she reached the compound's control room. The last AI target awaited, a massive holographic war machine designed to simulate extreme threat. Its sensors were faster, smarter, and deadly accurate. Most cadets would hesitate here, waiting for backup or falling into traps. Lyra paused. She analyzed, calculated angles, and studied the timing of its energy pulses. Then, with a swift movement, she deployed a small, specialized device that disrupted the AI's sensors temporarily. In the instant it blinked, she struck. The war machine collapsed. The mission was complete. By nightfall, Lyra Kane had completed the exercise faster than any other cadet, eliminating all her targets without detection. She emerged from the shadows, her movements still silent, her breathing steady. Alien cadets stared in disbelief. She did it," whispered a winged cadet, eyes wide. "Every target gone without alarms." "Impossible," muttered a reptilian cadet, claws gripping his weapon. "No human could." The instructor's holograms lit up, displaying her perfect record. Commander Virak nodded. "Human Cadet Kane has completed the Nightfall survival test. All targets neutralized. No detection. Remarkable efficiency." Whispers spread through the ranks of cadets. Death whisper, silent, lethal, human. For Lyra, it was not about fame. She had completed the test because she planned, observed, and adapted, but she could see the change in the eyes of her peers. The underestimation, the mockery, they were gone. Respect, caution, and perhaps fear had replaced it. The shuttle returned to the orbital station as dawn crept over Varian 9's jagged horizon. Lyra sat quietly, reviewing her mission logs. She noted every movement, every calculation, every strategy. Each step of the night had reinforced a lesson. Observation, patience, and precision were more powerful than raw strength. When the cadets returned to the academy, alien cadets kept their distance, unsure whether to congratulate her or fear her. A quiet respect had grown. Instructors discussed her performance openly, praising her ability to remain undetected while neutralizing all targets. By the time the sun rose, the legend of Lyra Kane had begun to spread across the academy. Cadets whispered her new title, impressed and wary, Death Whisper. Lyra herself did not boast. She continued her routine, training, studying, and preparing for the challenges to come. She knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy underestimated humans, but she had shown that humans could think faster, adapt better, and survive where others might fail. The alien cadets, once arrogant and confident, now watched her with a mixture of fear and fascination. In the shadows of the academy, a new reputation was forming. The human who struck without warning, who moved like a whisper, and whose presence in battle was as quiet as death itself. As Lyra rested, she allowed herself a small smile. She had not yet faced her greatest challenges, but she had proven one undeniable truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. And by the time the next mission came, the galaxy would begin to remember the name Lyra Kane, Death Whisper. The Galactic Defense Academy had never seen a final battle like this before. The simulation chamber had been transformed into a massive battlefield, a sprawling cityscape, complete with narrow alleys, towering buildings, and hidden tunnels. It was designed to test every cadet's ability to lead, strategize, and adapt under pressure. The instructors made the rules clear: mixed species teams, each cadet responsible for both their actions and their teammates. The goal was simple: capture the opponent's command post while minimizing casualties. The challenge was anything but simple. Lyra Kane's team was considered weak. 2 alien cadets in her squad were brash and impatient, convinced that humans had no place in high-level tactics. One was a hulking reptilian warrior, proud and strong but slow to think. The other was a small, insectoid cadet, clever but lacking courage. Lyra, the quiet human, was the only one with calm focus and sharp perception. Her teammates scoffed. "We'll carry you," the reptilian cadet said. "Humans can barely keep up." Lyra ignored him. Words were useless, results mattered. She quickly analyzed the battlefield from the briefing hollow, noting choke points, weak defenses, and high-traffic areas where ambushes were likely. "Follow my lead," she said softly. "Don't rush. Move with observation. Every action matters." The simulation began. Red lights flashed, alarms echoed, and cadets spread across the battlefield. Alien teams immediately charged into direct confrontations, relying on their speed and strength. Many were trapped, pinned down, or forced to retreat. Lyra's team moved differently. They stayed low, avoided unnecessary fights, and observed enemy patterns. When they did engage, it was precise and decisive. Lyra used short, coordinated bursts of energy pulses and hand-to-hand techniques, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. Her teammates, initially skeptical, began to notice. The insectoid cadet whispered, She sees everything. She predicts every move." By mid-battle, Lyra had already neutralized several high-ranking opponents, all without drawing attention to herself. Her strikes were swift, her movements silent, earning her the continued whispers. Death whisper. The reptilian cadet, previously arrogant, grudgingly admitted, "We would have been trapped without her." Lyra didn't smile. She kept moving, calculating every step. The key was coordination. While alien cadets relied on brute force, Lyra used strategy. She set traps, created diversions, and anticipated enemy reactions. Even the most advanced AI targets fell to her careful planning. The battle intensified near the enemy command post. Alien cadets attempted to rush in, expecting to overpower defenders. Lyra paused, observing every patrol, every laser sweep, every weakness in their pattern. "Wait for the right moment," she instructed her team. "Patience wins battles." Time slowed in her mind. She watched a squad of elite opponents approach. Their shields were strong, their weapons precise, but their movements were predictable. Lyra's mind raced, calculating angles, timing, and the minimal force required. With a quiet nod, she struck. Using a combination of stealth, misdirection, and human ingenuity, she lured the enemy squad into a narrow alley, cut off their retreat, and disabled them efficiently. Each move was silent, clean, and final. Her team advanced, gaining ground with minimal risk. Other alien cadets had relied on overwhelming numbers and failed. Lyra relied on observation, precision, and timing. Humans were underestimated, but she had proven that adaptability and cunning could defeat raw power. Finally, only the enemy commander remained, a large, heavily armored alien cadet with multiple limbs and energy weapons. Other teams had tried to engage and were repelled. Lyra studied him. His patterns were aggressive but predictable. "This is it," she whispered. "We end this quickly. Stick to the plan." Her team moved into position. The insectoid cadet created a small distraction, while the reptilian warrior provided a feint. Lyra approached silently, timing her strike perfectly. Using the momentum of her enemy's attention, she disabled the commander in one clean, decisive action. The energy weapons clattered to the ground. The simulation ended. Red lights faded, and the instructor's holograms displayed the results. Lyra's team had won. They had neutralized all opponents with minimal casualties, thanks to her strategy and leadership. The alien cadets were stunned. They had underestimated humans. Again, Commander Virak's voice echoed through the chamber. "Cadet Lyra Kane has demonstrated exceptional skill, leadership, and tactical ingenuity. She has not only completed the mission, but has done so with a level of precision unmatched in Academy history." The room was silent. Even the top-ranked alien cadets looked at her with a mixture of respect and fear. The whispers grew louder. "Death whisper, human, unstoppable." Lyra's team gathered around her, now in awe rather than doubt. The insectoid cadet bowed slightly. "You saved us, all of us." "I see now why humans are dangerous." The reptilian cadet nodded, a rare smile breaking his stern face. "I misjudged you. The galaxy will remember you, human." Lyra didn't seek recognition. She had proven what she needed. Humans could rise above expectations, adapt to impossible situations, and succeed where others failed. But she understood something more. Respect alone wasn't enough. She had to keep improving, keep observing, and keep moving silently, like a shadow in the galaxy. The Academy buzzed with new energy. Instructors discussed her tactics openly, studying her every move. Other cadets, once arrogant and dismissive, now approached her cautiously, some with questions, others with admiration. By the next day, Lyra Kane's legend had spread across the station. Death Whisper was no longer just a nickname, it was a symbol. A human cadet who could strike silently, think faster than any alien, and survive situations deemed impossible. Lyra returned to her quarters quietly. She reviewed the mission logs, analyzing every detail. Even in victory, she looked for improvement. There were always new strategies, always new patterns to observe. Humans thrived not because they were strongest or fastest, but because they could adapt, learn, and overcome any challenge. As she looked out the viewport at the galaxy stretching infinitely before her, Lyra reflected on her journey. From the mockery of alien cadets to the whispers of respect, she had proven something undeniable. Humans were not to be underestimated. The galaxy was vast, filled with threats and challenges. Many species relied on power, technology, or numbers. Humans relied on something else: intuition, creativity, and adaptability. And Lyra Kane, the human cadet who moved like a shadow and struck with precision, had become the living proof. By the end of her final evaluation, the Academy had awakened to a new reality. Humans were a force to be reckoned with. Lyra had shown that even a single human could change the outcome of any mission, outthink any opponent, and survive where others would fail. Her story spread beyond the Academy, whispered in mess halls, classrooms, and even training simulations. Death Whisper was no longer a mere cadet, it was a legend in the making. Lyra herself remained humble. She had achieved much, but she knew the galaxy held far greater challenges. She would continue to train, to learn, to observe. The whispers of the Academy would grow into recognition across the galaxy, and one day, humanity's true power would be impossible to ignore. As night fell over the orbital station, Lyra stood by the viewport once more. Stars stretched endlessly across the sky, distant worlds waiting. The galaxy was large and dangers were many, but she was ready. Silent, precise, and deadly when necessary, she had become more than a cadet. She had become a symbol. A human who could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast almost anyone. A whisper in the dark, a shadow of the night. Death Whisper.